shriveling up with cringe-induced embarrassment in equal measures, from the world's worst magician to some serious public slip-ups from celebrities and normal folks alike. Let's check out some of the most embarrassing situations the world has ever seen. Caught in the act. People who sleepwalk often find themselves in all sorts of strange situations. But attempting a burglary isn't usually one of them. Even so, one man from Garden Grove, California thought sleepwalking would be a believable excuse as to why he was found sneaking around on someone else's property in 2018.
You climb over?
Yeah. Are you recording me?
You trying to break into my house?
No, I was sleepwalking.
Sleepwalking?
Yeah.
While you have to commend the guy's creativity for thinking on his feet, his Oscar-worthy performance isn't quite enough to convince the homeowner of his innocence.
What are you trying to break in my house for?
Who said I was? Alright, see you later.
How many more guys you have?
Huh? Wait, what?
You climb over.
I don't know how I even got here.
What's more, he then tries to turn the tables on the owner, threatening to sue him.
Are you recording me?
Of course.
Oh, if you do record me and I see it on Facebook, I'm gonna sue you guys.
Now, I'm no lawyer, but I'm pretty sure breaking into someone's home overrules an attempt to sue someone for videoing without permission. Regardless, the world's worst liar continues with the performance of the year.
How did you get in?
I don't even know.
When he finally takes the hint to leave, his parting statement doesn't exactly help his case.
What are you talking about? Alright, see you guys later. Sorry I broke into your house. Just kidding, I didn't break into your house. I don't know how I even got in.
Hi, I have someone that's climbing.
Haha, sorry I broke into your house, which I totally didn't, by the way. I don't know about you guys, but I'm completely convinced. The great Paul Norris. Humanity has seen some spectacular magicians over the years. Harry Houdini, Penn and Teller, David Blaine, to name but a few. But most people have never heard of the great Paul Norris. Why haven't people heard of him? Well, why don't you take a look at Paul's first and only live TV appearance roughly 30 years ago on Sky Star Search and see for yourself. We'll start with his big opener, a couple of rope tricks which start off promising despite some fidgeting and a few fumbled words.
Now I'm going to show you a trick out of the disappearing knot out of Houdini's rope.
I don't need an Amber Alert for a Cherokee tag, for a black Honda and a Cherokee tag. You hear me, babe? I don't need to be getting
Thank you.
an Amber Alert on my phone.
Now Houdini will, I will make the rope stand on end.
You know what I'm saying? 11:30.
Thank you.
Having a little trouble finding your pocket there, Paul? Things begin to go downhill with Paul's disappearing cigarette trick, where his fumbling fingers distract from whatever it is he's trying to do.
Oh, now get out a packet of cigarettes. Excuse me a minute while I get in trouble here. Here we go. One cigarette, I will place the cigarette inside. And here we are, disappearing cigarette.
The judges appear just as confused as you probably are. Sorry, Paul, but it's a little hard to be impressed when your audience has no idea what's going on. Up next comes arguably Paul's best trick.
One Visa card. I'd make it change into a £5 note.
While it's an improvement, if you look closely, you can see the outline of the Visa card tucked inside the fake note when he folds it back up. Clearly, sleight of hand is not Paul's strong suit, which is unfortunate for a magician. His clumsy handwork makes watching his grand finale as painful as being sawed in half for real.
Now for my last trick, I like to make a £10 note disappear and return again. As you see, one piece of card. We'll place the £10 note inside. Oh well, there you go. Thank you very much. It's been my pleasure. Thank you very much.
Did you catch that? The £10 note falls out of his trick piece of card onto the floor. Now we all get a little nervous from time to time, but you'd think Paul might have practiced those nerves away a little more before coming on live television. If Paul had worked his awkwardness into the act, it could have even been a pretty funny show. But he didn't, and in the end, it was funny for all the wrong reasons. Adele Dazeem. A slip of the tongue can be an extremely embarrassing thing. Just ask John Travolta. Back in 2014, Travolta appeared at the Oscars to introduce Idina Menzel, singer of the mega-hit single Let It Go from Disney's Frozen. But when it came time to say her name, Travolta said this instead.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
The Adele Dazeem mess-up spawned countless memes and creative takes on the situation, as you might expect.
Please welcome the wickedly talented one and only.
So how did the star of Grease mess up so badly? Well, he claims that while he did already know Menzel's name before the incident, the teleprompter he was reading from had her name spelled phonetically to try and avoid mispronunciation. Unfortunately, the phonetic spelling of Idina Menzel only served to confuse Travolta, resulting in the opposite effect to what was intended.
The wickedly talented one and only Adele Dazeem.
Speechless at the interview. At some point or other, most people experience a bad job interview, but I guarantee you even your very worst doesn't hold a candle to this guy's disastrous Skype interview. It was his own fault though, because instead of learning the skills required for the job, he got a buddy to say his answers for him, all while attempting poorly to lip-sync to the answers. Check it out.
Are going to be converting into the technical aspect of technical design, and in some cases I am working on it to the team members who are reporting to me.
Things totally fall apart when the audio signal the interviewee's basing his lip movements on drops from his headphones, leaving him unable to sync up his mouth.
Yes, I'm using triggers, but if using a trigger, so I'm just analyzing.
The interviewer spots the blunder immediately.
Hold on. I think it's not you who is speaking. I mean, someone is speaking, someone else is speaking here, and you're just lip syncing. I can also hear your voice, the candidate who is sitting right in front of me.
And if you ever wondered what it looks like when someone dies inside, look no further than this swindler's face once he realizes he's been caught out. Priceless. While we're on the topic, what's the most embarrassing job interview you've ever had? Let me know in the comments section below. And while you're down there, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons for more hilarious content like this? I upload new fact and true story based videos daily, so do your brain and your funny bone a favor and subscribe for more. Boom goes the dynamite. Way back in 2005, Brian Collins made his first on-camera appearance on Ball State University's student newscast.
Hello everyone. Well, the Ball State softball team continued to play this weekend, and they were hoping to continue off of their straight 3 out of 4 losses. And so we'll take a look and see how that happened.
After a relatively strong start, a series of fumbled pronunciations soon see all the momentum snap from the newscast.
Iowa tournament starting this Friday. Before the Ball State baseball team kicks off its conference season this weekend, the Cards will battle in-state rival Indiana tomorrow. Tomorrow's game will be the meeting between the two, beating both first.
Before long, Brian's presenting confidence has completely disintegrated, and after a lengthy silence, his words seem to stop making sense entirely.
Hoosiers are on the 4 on the year, and they have won 6 of its last 7 games. Tomorrow will be the game 3 at 3 p.m.
Eventually, Brian seems to just want it to be over, but he's forced to press on.
It seems every week they have a player. Matt Lawrence is the latest Cardinals tennis player to win the award. Lamar won all the singles and doubles matches last week. So far, the Cardinals have had a player honored on the weekly awards.
Things pick up for a while until it comes time to commentate over clips of a recent basketball game.
Reggie Miller's looking good. He shoots a 3, and it's good.
During his commentating, Brian drops his now famous catchphrase, which, if you ask me, totally redeems his other shortcomings.
Later, he gets the rebound, passes it to the man, shoots it, and boom goes the Dynamite.
The real dynamite, however, comes when Brian tries to read the names of new recruits to the college basketball team. Kicking it off, he doesn't even get the name of the sport right.
The Associated Press of the All-American first team in college baseball was announced today at Utah's 7-foot sophomore center Andrew Bogut was the leading vote receiving 61st place votes. Bogut, who is an Australian native, received very little attention in the preseason, but averaged 20 points and 12 rebounds a game for Utah. The 4 other players joining Bogut on the AP team are senior forward Wayne Summers and Kansas, and Hacken Warwick of Syracuse, junior guard J.J. Redick of Duke, and sophomore guard Chris Paul of Wake Forest rebounded out the list.
As it all wraps up, Brian's shame is impossible to ignore.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot for that look into sports, Brian.
Yeah.
And when we come back, we'll have one final look at weather. Stay tuned.
The broadcast may have been a cringe-inducing disaster, but it was all worth it for birthing this timeless catchphrase.
And boom goes the Dynamite.
And boom goes the Dynamite.
Please stop singing. Messing up on a broadcast while speaking is bad enough, but butchering a cover of a classic Broadway song on camera is a whole other kettle of cringe. That's exactly what Naomi Shore did when she attempted to sing "And I'm Telling You I'm Not Going" from Dreamgirls at the 2010 Miss Arkansas Beauty Pageant. Here's her big moment for your viewing and listening displeasure. For that big finish, Shore seemed to try to hit every possible note in the scale, and somehow missed them all. I'd be willing to bet the applause at the end isn't so much congratulations as it is gratitude that it's finally over. You really can't fault her passion, but sometimes you really have to recognize your own limitations. Or at the very least, practice a little more. Busted at the beach. When people get caught doing things they know they shouldn't be doing, there's usually one of 2 reactions. Either they admit their wrongdoings and apologize, or they deny everything, sometimes becoming a little aggressive in the process. 2 Florida women fell into the latter category back in 2014 when they were caught on camera trying to steal someone else's beach equipment. At first, they tried playing dumb.
Is that yours?
Yeah, but we don't know how to do it.
Oh, you need some help? Yeah, this is our stuff.
Then, when it becomes clear they've been rumbled, their demeanor changes from innocent to aggressive.
You know what? I will, and then I'm going to take that camera and put it in the grass. Are you going to like that? Step back. Stop it.
Seriously?
Sadly, the clip ends there just as things are getting juicy. However, it was later revealed that the situation de-escalated without a serious confrontation. That said, things got even more embarrassing in the days that followed. news outlets picked up the story and the Beach Bandits attempted to sue Fox News for portraying them as thieves. The solution is pretty simple. If you don't want to be seen as a thief, maybe consider not stealing other people's stuff. Popping the question. If you ever want to propose to someone, there's one golden rule you should always follow. Seeing as it's such a major decision, you really should make it 100% certain that your significant other will say yes before you officially pop the question, especially in public. But like other unfortunate souls lacking the foresight to unofficially double-check before popping the question, one Brazilian man dove right into a lavish surprise proposal in 2017. The results were not pretty.
Bless you.
At least the violinist sticks around to give the proposer his money's worth, even if it does make things considerably more depressing. It gets even more awkward when the surrounding public begins to applaud. Either the mallgoers misunderstood the outcome of the proposal, or were just offering some support. Either way, it ultimately only makes the situation more tragic, and the husband not-to-be walks off in shame. A similar situation was seen on the British breakfast show GMTV back in 2008. For some reason, an English woman decided national television would be the perfect platform through which to propose to her partner Mario. While, spoiler alert, the situation ended in a yes, her fiancé's dry reaction made the whole affair almost as embarrassing as if the answer had been a no.
Mario, I've been with you for 7 years. You're the best thing that's happened to me in the past 7 years, and I've asked you along here today and some of your work colleagues to ask if you will marry me.
The words, "Yeah, go on," probably wasn't the ecstatic acceptance the soon-to-be bride had in mind, but Mario's indifference continues.
How are you feeling right at this moment?
Me? Well, I'm fine. A bit of a shock, really. She's a little bugger, she is.
Whether his seeming indifference was a sign of bruised masculinity, or whether he was just too polite to say no on TV, remains unknown. All we know for sure is that it was incredibly painful to watch. Slip of the tongue. In politics, misspeaking can be a costly error to make. Back in 2008, while attempting to voice his disagreement with rival Barack Obama, the late John McCain suffered a serious slip of the tongue. The error and the attempt to cover his mistake that followed was pure comedy gold.
Senator Obama's supporters have been saying some pretty nasty things about Western Pennsylvania lately. And you know, I couldn't agree with them more. I couldn't disagree with you. I couldn't agree with you more than the fact that Western Pennsylvania is the most patriotic, most God-loving, most patriotic part of America. And this is a great part of the country.
He saves himself at the last second by following the standard political rulebook of addressing an American audience. If all else fails, bring out the patriotism. But thanks to the video footage, his hilarious initial slip-up will never be forgotten. Trump meets Tim Apple. The politicians of 2020 are far from immune from the occasional embarrassing moment. Just look at Trump. No, I'm not commenting on his policies. I'll leave that to you guys in the comments. I'm talking about a hilarious moment that occurred in 2019 during a meeting involving Apple CEO Tim Cook. Trump made a slight error pronouncing Tim Cook's name. See if you can catch it.
You got to start doing it over here, and you really have. I mean, you've really put a big investment in our country. We appreciate it very much, Tim Apple.
It seems like a mistake, but maybe we've got it wrong. Maybe this is how Trump refers to all major businessmen. You know, like Elon Tesla, Jeff Amazon, and Bill Microsoft. I guess we'll never know for sure what Donald Whitehouse really meant when he said,
Tim Apple.
royal pickings. It's not just politicians and civilians that exhibit embarrassing behavior. The royals do it too. In fact, being in the public eye so much, a number of members of the British royal family have been caught in the same compromising pose, picking their noses. There are countless snaps online of the Queen picking away, but other royal nose diggers include the Duke of Kent, Prince William, and even Prince Charles. Looks like the servants need to up their game and remember to bring the royal Kleenex next time. A man of principle. In 2017, a truly cringeworthy exchange took place during a CNN debate on the topic of free speech rights for journalists working for large news corporations. In the segment, hosted by Brooke Baldwin and featuring former ESPN senior editor Keith Reed and Clay Travis of Fox Sports Radio, Travis makes a comment that leaves his opponent speechless.
I think that's a bad move. I'm a First Amendment absolutist. I believe in only two things completely, the First Amendment and boobs.
Granted, you can't deny those parts of a woman do indeed exist, so Travis isn't technically incorrect to believe in them, but there's a time and a place to discuss their existence, and a serious pre-watershed debate over free speech probably isn't it. But while the comment is embarrassing in itself, the refusal of the other participants to move past it only amps up the embarrassment, and it winds up derailing the entire segment.
That they were
Wait,
not
did you
going
just
to
say
allow a
you believe in the
conservative,
First Amendment and-
non-sports-related commentary.
Be able to comment on sports because of her gender. So for somebody to come on CNN and to say something like the only thing I believe in a discussion about something
I'm still there too, and I just want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly. BOOZE or BOOBS?
Listen, Brooke. I think that speaks for itself. I love the First Amendment as well. I also love women, and as
you don't love boobs too.
In the end, the ridiculousness of the whole situation proves too much, and the host ends the segment.
Brought up in this
I'm done.
conversation.
This is done. This is conversation over. Yanking mics. Bye. See ya.
Now that's what I call quality broadcasting. But do you think Travis's comment should have just been brushed over in favor of continuing the segment? Or do you think making that kind of inappropriate comment should mean forfeiting your right to speak on air? Let me know in the comments down below. Horrendous haircuts. There are few quicker routes to painful embarrassment than receiving a bad haircut. Like this guy who showed his barber a screenshot from a paused video on his phone as a reference. Mistaking the screenshot's play button for an intentional feature, the barber went ahead and shaved his customer a play button of his own as part of the cut. Or this Reddit user whose barber took a request for short back and sides to the extreme in the form of a very close shave. Then there's the Las Vegas Raiders owner Mark Davis, who's reportedly had the same awful cut since he left college. Unbelievably, Davis travels all the way from Vegas to Palm Desert for his trim, which he refuses to change despite constant mockery online. Jim Carrey as Lloyd Christmas in Dumb and Dumber isn't usually considered a fashion icon, but clearly he is to Mark Davis. But there are some haircuts that start off fashionable and age like milk, like what's now become known as the Karen cut. If you're not familiar with the term, a Karen is a type of woman who can usually be summed up by the phrase, "I'd like to speak to the manager," often found causing a fuss in stores, being outrageously rude to service staff in restaurants, and generally going through life with a sense of entitlement. Karens have become a very popular meme in the past few years. And unfortunately for the many women with this type of bob haircut, which was popular in the mid-2000s, their trim has become closely associated with the Karen lifestyle. The only people who've suffered more judgment than all the nice women know. Dance like nobody's watching. In January 2020, this young woman was snapped by a very entertained onlooker in Washington, dancing her heart away in her car. Recording a TikTok, it's not long before she realizes she's being watched. When she does, her embarrassment is so strong you can't help dying inside just a little bit along with her. The worst part, though, is that while the girl presumably hoped the moment would only be shared between herself and the woman filming, it's now been seen by millions of people online. And for my part, the video you're currently watching probably isn't going to help keep it under wraps. But what can I say? It's my job to share these spectacularly embarrassing moments with all of you beautiful people. I have no regrets. The Russian dating experience. I'd now like to introduce you to the wild and wacky world of Russian dating websites. The profile pictures found on these sites are quite unlike any you'll see on Tinder, Hinge, or Bumble in the Western dating world. These pics are so spectacularly Russian that you can almost smell the vodka. You've got this guy whose wall carpets only serve to paint the full Soviet picture alongside his ultra macho pose and interesting haircut. I can only ever aspire to be this manly. And as for this fellow, well, what can I say? The USA will never know this level of class. Then you have the women of these sites. This lady shows how much of a suitable girlfriend she'll make by posing with her catch of the day. These delightful devushkas, meanwhile, show that you don't need a red carpet or modern sports car to be glamorous. Russian dating site profile pictures are a wonderfully weird rabbit hole to dive into. That is, if you ever want your eyebrows to be raised beyond the top of your head. Unable to hold it. Back in 2007, pop star Fergie had a little accident while performing a Black Eyed Peas concert. Midway through the set, audience members spotted an unexpected change in the coloration of her pants. It soon became obvious that the singer had peed herself on stage, unable to hold it until the end of the set. Worst fear, but when you gotta go, you gotta go. Zuckerberg sunscreen. Mark Zuckerberg, co-founder and CEO of Facebook, is a little strange. From his oddly robotic movements,
although not unprecedented, this is a unique period. The issues
to the strange way he drinks water, his strange behavior has led to many tongue-in-cheek theories that he may be an alien or an android. Pictures snapped of him in July 2020 didn't help get rid of those theories. Absorbing an amount of sunscreen, far beyond the necessary amount. So either he can't grasp how to rub it in, or his skin is super sensitive because his home planet gets less light than Earth. Or as some have theorized, this is what his actual face looks like after he's removed his fake human mask. Either way, this image is guaranteed to be in your nightmares tonight, and for that, I apologize. Baskin in the club. 2019 and 2020 were a strange couple of years for Carol Baskin, owner of Big Cat Rescue in Florida. For those not already aware, Baskin gained significant fame in 2020 following the release of the Netflix series Tiger King, which documents her rivalry with fellow Tiger owner Joe Exotic. In the wake of her newly increased fame, Carol joined Cameo, a site where fans can pay for personalized videos. Some of the results were incredibly uncomfortable. In a moment of peak cringe, Baskin and her husband could be seen singing their own cleaned up version of 50 Cent's In the Club. Take a look, if you dare.
Go Charlotte, it's your birthday. We're gonna party like it's your birthday. We're gonna sip Bacardi like it's your birthday. And you know we don't give a fudge that it's your birthday.
It's like when a school teacher tries to be cool, only much, much worse. But that's not even as bad as these videos' requests got. Baskin published an even more unfortunate video after a fan jokingly requested a shout out for a couple of ex-BBC celebrities who were found guilty of horrendous crimes involving kids.
Hi, Rolf Harris. All your kids wanted to get together and tell you that you have really touched them and that they love all that you have done for them. I hear there's a lot of great stories about you and your best friend, Jimmy Seville. Can't wait to hear those. Happy birthday, Rolf.
Totally unaware of the sinister implications of the name she's saying, Carol appears free from embarrassment. But anyone in the know watching certainly feels the embarrassment on her behalf. I need a shower after that. Shady Santa. For children all around the world, Old St. Nick is a symbol of innocent, festive joy. But unfortunately, some mall Santas just give off a creepy vibe, and occasionally kids' reactions to this are caught on camera. I think I'd probably feel the same way as the girl on the right side here if I were in her shoes. And with the facial expression of this Santa, I'm not surprised this youngin' looks terrified. But other mall Santas have been caught over the years in embarrassing situations of a different kind, exhibiting less than innocent intentions. Like this Santa captured taking a cheeky peek at a girl who's presumably telling him what she wants for Christmas. Looks like Santa's got a few festive desires of his own. Looks like this year, it's St. Nick who's going on the naughty list. Mic check. It's always embarrassing to find out a singer is lip singing. It's a lot worse though when it's revealed in a moment of spectacular failure, like the one that occurred at China's Lantern Festival broadcast in 2016. After the intro to her song, Sa Ding Ding raised her mic to begin singing when this happened. Yep, you saw that right. Ding Ding wasn't just caught out lip syncing, she was holding the microphone the wrong way around. She continued the performance all the same, but it was too late. Everyone saw her blunder, and a vocalist singing into the wrong end of a microphone is not something a crowd, or indeed the internet, ever forgets. What's the most embarrassing moment you've ever witnessed? Let me know in the comments section down below. Thanks for watching.
Turn it up some more and get some more out of it? Yep. All right. Cool. Crank that up. Yeah.
Everyone has a few bad habits, but some of those habits make everyday tasks much more difficult than they have any right to be. And because of them, there are so many things we've been doing wrong all this time without even knowing. From peeling sticky notes to charging your phone and even using the bathroom, it's time to find out what you've been doing wrong all this time. Showering setbacks. Okay, so you might have hit that snooze button like 4, 5, or 20 times, but you're finally up. Good job. Although nothing gets you ready to face the day quite like getting squeaky clean in a nice hot shower. But hold the soap there for a second, bud, because spending too much time under the hot water actually isn't all that good for you. Showering frequently can wash off some of the skin's good bacteria and oils, which upsets the body's natural balance, causing dry and cracked skin. Not only that, but according to the Journal of Allergy and Clinical Immunology, showering too frequently can also lead to serious skin problems such as eczema. So, to avoid this incredibly itchy future, all you have to do is reduce the number of days you take a shower on. But if you really can't get by without bathing daily, just keep scrubbing the essentials. Antiperspirant problems. Once you're nice and clean, you reach for the antiperspirant. But wait, should you really be applying that deodorant now? Because if you take a look at the label of most antiperspirant deodorants, they'll tell you to put it on right before you go to bed. How can that be, right? Well, as it turns out, because you're less active at night, you sweat less. So your skin absorbs more of the active aluminum-based ingredient of antiperspirant, which sinks in and blocks those sweat ducts overnight. Plus, the active ingredient will generally last for about 24 hours, so its effect won't wear off overnight. Looks like you don't have to sweat about this problem ever again. Banana bonanza. After all those hygiene hijinks, it's time for some breakfast. Bananas are a perfectly healthy start to any morning. Then again, if the stem is soft or the top is a bit mushy, they can make your morning messy. But what if I told you that tearing the stem is not the way to go? According to monkeys, also known as nature's banana-eating aficionados, it's easier to peel this delicious yellow fruit open from the blossom end. Simply pinch the brown stub until the peel splits and just keep peeling away. Not only is it easier, but peeling it this way can also help remove all those weird banana strings that sometimes stick to the fruit after you've peeled it. Now you can literally enjoy the fruits of your labor. Toothpaste trouble. Now, regardless of whether you brush your teeth before or after you've eaten breakfast, there's still a good chance you're doing it wrong. Over the years, commercials have made it look like you should be squeezing out long layers of toothpaste onto your toothbrush to keep the cavities at bay. But this just isn't true. Commercials use these long ribbons of paste to make their product look a little more appealing and make you use more toothpaste. But the reality is that a single pea-sized blob is enough to keep your teeth looking and feeling squeaky clean. Well, I'm not sure about you, but at this point, I don't even know if I'm breathing correctly. The only thing I know that everyone can do correctly is hit those like and subscribe buttons down below. Now, let's find out what else you're doing wrong every single day. Folding fumble. All fed and fresh, it's time to get some chores done. First up, putting away the laundry. Ugh. Even though it's a simple task, it feels like it takes forever. Scrunching things up and cramming them into drawers leaves creases in all the wrong places. But trying to make your closet look like a super neat department store showcase is way too much hassle. Or is it? As it turns out, it takes a grand total of just 3 seconds to fold a shirt like this. Did that look like some sort of witchcraft to you? Then let's go through it slowly. First, you lay the shirt out flat and pinch it halfway down, just off the seam, with your right hand and off the collar with your left. Then, still pinching the shirt, you fold your left hand over your right so that the collar section now meets the bottom of your shirt. Pinch that section into your left hand as well, and then, raising the shirt up, pull your right hand through. From here, you briefly shake it out, lay it down, flip it over, and voila! A fast and fancy shirt fold. It may take you a little time to get the hang of it, but once you do, putting away your laundry will become a lightning fast task. Refrigeration frustration. Next on the list of chores is to help put away the groceries, which contains a fresh carton of eggs. But if you're thinking about storing them away in the egg compartment of your fridge door, then I've got some bad news for you. Eggs should be kept at a constant temperature below 68 degrees to maintain their freshness, but the refrigerator door is actually the warmest part of the fridge. Being opened and closed throughout the day exposes the eggs to more frequent temperature fluctuations, compromising the egg's overall quality. And, annoyingly, despite being the perfect space for it, milk shouldn't be stored in the door either. Like eggs, temperature fluctuations can cause the milk to go off quicker.
So damn hot. Milk was a bad choice.
So where should you keep all your milk and eggs, if not in this one refrigerated basket? Experts suggest storing quick-to-spoil foods like these towards the back of the main body of the refrigerator, as it's a cooler area that's more resistant to temperature fluctuations. What an excellent solution! Condiment chaos. Now, just because you've got room in the fridge door doesn't mean you should be shoving every condiment under the sun in there. Sure, some naturally preserved condiments like jams and sauces will work well in that space, as they don't need to be kept at a constant temperature. But what about ketchup? Some people have an age-old habit of putting it in the fridge, but doing so is totally pointless. Commercially made ketchup typically involves tomato, sugar, and vinegar, which gives the sauce a specific acidity. It's this that keeps the condiment preserved and safe to eat in room temperature conditions, even if it's not been refrigerated. Meaning you can free up that precious fridge space for something that really needs it. Unless you're one of those people that enjoys their ketchup chilled. Personally, cold ketchup on hot food makes my mouth feel all kinds of wrong. While this'll probably spark a third world war, let me know how you store your ketchup down in the comments. Crass crossing out. That's another chore crossed off the list of things to do. While striking a line through it is satisfying, it doesn't exactly conceal what the original words you had written down were. What if it had been something secret, personal, or even embarrassing? Like pay that parking fine, buy new underwear, or watch the new Logan Paul video. Sure, you could furiously scribble over the words or reach for the whiteout, but there's a much simpler solution that'll keep your secrets safe from prying eyes. Instead of striking a straight line, write a series of random letters over the words you want to erase. The jumble of letters make the original word much harder to make out, let alone read, so no one else has to know about your mistakes or your deep dark secrets ever again. Sticky note snags. Wait, you've just remembered something else you need to get done today and grab a sticky note to quickly write it down. But when you peel it off and stick it up, the note just curls up and falls off. Most of us just accept this as a limitation of using Post-it notes, but it's actually because you've been using them wrong this whole time. When you peel the notes up from the bottom, the sticky line bends the paper in the direction it was pulled, leaving you with a bent memo. But if you peel a Post-it from the side or pull it straight down, the notes stay flat. Finally, you can say goodbye to missing memos and notes lost behind the back of your desk. Bobby pin problems. Now, if you have long, lustrous hair, you've probably used a bobby pin or two to keep stray wisps out of your eyes while getting all these tasks done. But a lot of you will find that these little hair grips slip out almost as quickly as you put them in. What's the deal with that? Well, as simple as they look to use, you're putting them in wrong. Even though it seems like the wavy side should face up, it's actually designed to act as a grip on the underside of your hair. So when you slide it in, this should face down, with the flat portion facing up. This saves the amount of time you spend fiddling with your hair and the amount of bobby pins you use, which will prevent you from looking like this. I mean, she may have won the war on wisps, but at what cost? Getting physical. With all that life admin done, now's as good a time as any to get some exercise. This could be a quick run or a trip to the gym, but whatever you prefer, you should do some stretching first. After all, most of us have been told since our school days that stretching before exercise helps prevent muscle injuries and can even be beneficial to our performance. But that's not strictly true. While stretching sure feels good and helps promote flexibility, there's no concrete scientific backing that it helps to reduce injury when done before exercise. Large-scale studies have shown that in high-intensity training, like army exercises, stretching beforehand made no significant difference on injury rates or muscle soreness. What's even more amazing is that some studies into sprinting and jumping found that people's performance was actually reduced on average when they stretched beforehand. But a few studies alone aren't enough to cement these findings into facts. So whether you want to stretch before exercising or not is really up to you, though it might not be as important as your old high school gym teacher made it out to be. Microwave madness. Looks like you've worked up an appetite from all that exercise, so it's time to heat up some leftovers for lunch. After zapping your meal in the microwave for a couple of minutes, you take it out only to find that the food on the edge is scorching hot, but the middle is still horribly cold. This is because the radiation produced by microwaves doesn't travel very far, and depending on how dense your meal is, those waves will only penetrate a limited amount of the food. Most people solve this problem by stopping and stirring their food several times, but come on, who really has time for that? Netflix won't watch itself. What you should be doing to reheat your leftovers evenly and quickly is leaving a hole in the middle of your food so that it forms a ring. This way, everything is on the edges and gets cooked quickly without leaving an icy center. And if it's in a bowl, just dig a little hole in the middle to achieve an evenly heated meal every time. Leftovers never looked so good. Seasonal ceiling fans. It's feeling a little bit chilly out, so you turn to your trusty household heater to warm up the place. But have you ever considered using your old ceiling fan to help heat up your house? It does sound a bit backwards. After all, you only really use the draft from these fans to help cool you down in the summer. And yet, they have a little-known winter function as well. Typically, ceiling fans run counterclockwise in the summer, so that the angle of the blades pushes air down towards you. This creates a wind chill effect on your skin, making you feel cooler. But in the winter, reversing the fan's direction and dropping its speed actually draws up cool air and pushes down warm air that's risen to the top of the room. This small change can help you save as much as 15% on your heating bills, leaving you with a warm, fuzzy feeling, inside and out. Hats off to you. Now you have to run a few errands, but since it's cold outside, you should probably wear a hat. After all, your mother and your teachers always told you that you lose most of your body heat through your head. But if you're trying to keep your whole body warm solely by loading up on cozy hats, you're making a mistake. Sorry, Mom, but according to the British Medical Journal, a person only loses 7 to 10% of their body heat through their hands. The entire myth likely stems from an old 1970s military study, which claimed as much as 45% of your body heat escapes from the top of your uncovered melon. Unfortunately, they weren't practicing very good science back then, as the subjects they were testing were wearing full Arctic suits and only had their heads exposed to the cold. Since then, science has come to its senses and claimed that exposing any part of your body to the cold will reduce your core body temperature proportionally, so you should focus on a full body warming solution and not just use your head. Pizza saver purposes. All up, it's been a pretty good day, so you've invited a few friends over and ordered a pizza. But when you open up that box of cheesy, doughy goodness, you find one of those strange little white plastic gizmos perched in the middle of your pie. It may look like a tiny table, but this gadget, called a pizza saver, stops the top of the box from being squashed into the food. It's an ingenious invention, but because it's not edible, a lot of people just toss it into the trash before pawing at the pizza. But you don't want to do that, as it has another use that'll stop your friends from putting their hands all over your slices. I mean, your friends are probably great, but who knows where their grubby mitts have been? Fortunately, by pressing the prongs of the pizza saver down into a single slice, it remains in place while the adjoining slices can be torn off, leaving them totally untainted. It's the perfect pizza-saving solution for everyone, assuming you have friends. Unwieldy wine glasses. You're feeling fancy, so it's time to crack open a bottle of wine to serve with that greasy pizza. What a classic pairing. After you've poured it into your wine glasses, you might be tempted to hold this booze-filled baby by the bulb. As sophisticated as it feels, you actually shouldn't hold it like this when you want to take a sip. Instead, your fingers should remain firmly on the stem. This is because around 80 to 90% of what we perceive as taste is actually our smell. Don't believe me? Just think back to the last time you had a bad cold or a blocked nose, and remember how dull and bland your food tasted. So, to best experience the taste of fancy and expensive wine, glasses were developed with a long stem so that your hand remained far away from your nose. This prevents the smell of your fingers from interfering with the flavors of the wine. Though in this case, seeing as you're casually chugging down that wine with a greasy pizza, I don't reckon it'll make much of a difference. Toilet training. Unfortunately, all that wine has made you desperate to visit the porcelain throne. Now, make no mistake, being able to stand up, unzip, and quickly relieve yourself is just one of the many privileges of being a man. But it's not always the best way to go about your business. In fact, sitting down actually allows men to empty more of their bladder than if they were standing upright. This is because you're able to use your abdominal muscles to really push every last drop out, resulting in fewer bathroom breaks. Not only that, but it'll really help with the eternal problem of the male aim, much to the delight of the women in your life, I'm sure. Though you shouldn't adjust your position just for number ones, but for number twos as well. Sitting upright on the john is a practice that's been around since the time of ancient Egypt, over 5,000 years ago. But, and it's a big but, the problem with sitting like this is that it keeps a kink in your lower bowel, caused by the continence-preserving muscle of the puborectalis. This forces you to strain harder when pushing out poop from your colon, risking the development of painful conditions like hemorrhoids and colon disease. So, how exactly are you meant to relieve yourself without doing yourself a disservice? The answer can be found in a simple squat. Raising your knees up to your chest, roughly 35 degrees from your body, relaxes that puborectalis muscle and straightens out your colon, giving you a straight route to poop. While this position makes things a lot easier on your rear, some people actually clamber up onto the toilet seat to take a real deep squat into the bowl. At least they do if these hilariously disturbing toilet warning signs from around the world are anything to go by. Phone charging challenge. Returning from the toilet, you hear the all-too-familiar sound of your phone's low battery warning. Ugh. You just charged it up a few hours ago. While it's well known that smartphone batteries don't have the best charge life, it's also partially our fault because of the way we charge them. According to the geniuses from the battery company Cadex, lithium-ion batteries like those in your phone are subject to stress. And, just like a human, extended stress can damage the battery's lifespan. When your phone is closer to empty, it draws a constant current and operates at a lower voltage. Lower voltages are really good in a battery's lifespan, as they keep it in a state of low stress, which ultimately increases the number of times the battery can be charged. But leaving your phone on charge when it's already got a full battery will do the opposite. Once a battery hits 100%, it trickle charges to keep its power at 100% while plugged in. This high voltage charge keeps the battery in a high stress state, which gradually wears down its chemistry and can lead to system-wide malfunctions and reboots. This means charging it overnight or leaving it to charge idly is a really bad idea. So, how much should you really charge? You should try to use short, irregular top-ups when your battery is between 30% and 80%. While you can't stop your battery from wearing out, armed with what you know now, you should be able to postpone its inevitable fate just a little bit longer. Sleeping setback. After all that, it's time to say goodbye to your buddies and hit the hay. While there's no better feeling on earth than diving under a plush duvet, the position you sleep in might leave you feeling drained and pained. Comfortable as it may be, sleeping on your stomach is actually really bad for your back. Lying face down like this puts a disproportionate amount of pressure onto your spine. And unless you found a way to breathe through your pillow, turning your head twists your spine and head out of alignment, which can be a pain in the neck, literally. But if you really can't help but sleep on your front, you should pop a pillow under your hips and restore the natural curve of your back to relieve all that pressure. Plus, it's a great excuse to fill up your bed with more super comfy pillows. But it's not just stomach sleepers that need to be wary. I'm looking at you, side-on sleepers. You may not think it matters which side you sleep on, but your organs say otherwise. You see, the stomach's natural position is on the left side of your body. So, if you sleep on the right side, your dinner gets digested against gravity, hindering its breakdown and even causing the old midnight heartburn. With this in mind, you should roll over and lie on your left side to get a more restful night's sleep. What's my preferred position, I hear you ask? Well, just ask your mom. We all scream for ice cream. It may be late, but it's never too late for a cheeky midnight snack. And you've just remembered you have a carton of ice cream sat in your freezer. Jackpot! When you got it from the store yesterday, it was soft and delicious. But now, less than 24 hours later, it's come out of the freezer rock solid. Unfortunately, this is because once the ice cream's airtight seal is opened, water vapor in the surrounding air begins to freeze and form hard ice crystals in the mix. And the more air it's exposed to in the freezer, the harder it is to scoop. While this leaves most people trying to chisel chunks out of it like a sugar-obsessed caveman, there's actually a way to stop this from happening. Simply flatten a layer of wax paper or plastic wrap against the ice cream surface before replacing the lid, or put the entire carton in an airtight plastic bag. This'll help keep the air out, meaning your ice cream stays soft and ready to scoop whenever your sweet tooth strikes. Well, it turns out I've been doing just about everything wrong since forever. Story of my life. But which of these everyday things have you just learned that you've been doing wrong all this time? Let me know down in the comments below. And thanks for watching.
There's nothing more mind-blowing than a good optical illusion. But while a lot of them exist in 2D, some designers have worked tirelessly to turn the unbelievable patterns into seriously phenomenal furniture. From creating incredible-looking chairs and strange storage units to bringing impossible rugs and trippy tables to life. So get your wish lists ready because we're about to go shopping for some amazing furniture that'll make you look twice. Imagine you walk up to a bar and pull out this stool to sit on. But as you reach for the nearest leg, your hand moves straight through it. What witchcraft is this? Don't worry, magic isn't real. This is just the Legless bar stool, designed by Josh Carmody. At the right angle, the four corners of the seat look like they're supported by a leg. But a carefully constructed trident of timber at its base allows it to balance on just 3 legs while supporting the weight of anyone brave enough to sit on it. However, at an extortionate $1,180 per stool, I think I'd want my stool to have at least 4 legs. No, not to brag, but I am the master of making a bottle of wine disappear. But this next piece of furniture takes my supreme skill to another level, and without ever opening a bottle. This is the Panetti wine rack, and as you can see, or technically as you can't see, it makes any wine bottle placed inside disappear. Is this really good video editing, or is there some sort of reality-breaking portal inside this wine rack? Well, the answer is neither. If you look closely at the design, you can see that there's a very small seam running diagonally along the middle strut. This is where the rack's designers, Harlequin Illusions, have cleverly placed a slim mirror. The angle of the mirror reflects the bottom half of the rack, which matches the back panel, making it look like the middle is empty. That's smart. So smart that Harlequin Illusions have patented the design to stop anyone from copying them. Damn. Guess I better stick to the old-fashioned way of making my wine disappear. You know what might also be an illusion? Those like and subscribe buttons down below. Why don't you see if they're real or not by giving them a click? Did I get you? Nah, of course not. You're way too smart for that, I'm sure. But I wonder if you're smart enough to see through this next illusion. It's not often that a piece of furniture flaunts the rules of physics, logic, or gravity, but from the right angle, this table appears to defy all 3. Look at this cuboid table, created by master craftsman Ricardo Churchill. From the corner, the entire structure seems endless, while it's also floating. The reality, though, is that the top, bottom, and sides of the cuboid have all been welded together in such a way that the table balances perfectly while only connecting at one of the corners. The result is something that looks like a 2D illusion, which you can also rest a cup of coffee on. How genius is that? But when it comes to impossibly endless designs, there's one home accessory that takes it to a brain-breaking new level. The 90-degree vase, developed by Quattro Quattro's design studio, is based on the design of the Penrose triangle, also aptly named the Impossible Triangle. In 2D, the design plays with the orientation of each beam, twisting them into an impossible formation that can't exist in reality. And if that's the case, how does this vase exist? It turns out that this is another design that relies on the power of perception, because if you take a step back, you can see how it works. The body of the vase is angled to look like the top and bottom connect, even though they're 90 degrees apart, allowing the shadows to create the illusion that the structure is somehow whole. As surprisingly simple as it looks, this vase isn't cheap. At 285 euros, roughly $340. That's a lot of money for a vase that only blows your mind from one angle, if you ask me. All perceptions aside, there's some furniture that looks impossible no matter what angle you stare at it, like the cut chair from Peter Bristol. Well, looks like this chair lost a fight to an angry samurai, but despite having several diagonal slices missing from 3 of its 4 legs, the chair still sits upright. Not only that, but it can also support the full weight of someone sitting or standing on it. So without magic, how exactly does this chair work? Well, the answer isn't actually in the chair, but in the mat below it. Beneath the wool rug is a cleverly concealed steel plate, which turns the entire design into a cantilever seat. This design counterweights any force applied to the chair, allowing it to remain upright on just one visible leg. I reckon it'd be pretty funny to host a dinner party and invite your guests to sit on one of these. I mean, their looks of clear-cut confusion would be priceless. But this would be one seriously expensive practical joke, because at an astonishing $5,000 each, this steely seat illusion isn't a cheap trick. But the cut chair isn't the only seat that seems to have had a run-in with a slick-sworded samurai. As its name suggests, the samurai chair seems to have been sliced up by some sort of chair-hating swordsman. However, it too is just an optical illusion. Designed by Korean visionary Seo Young-moon, the 4 sliced legs may look ready to topple, but the chair can actually support up to 330 pounds. At a glance, it looks like the chair legs must have been shaved down to those razor-sharp edges from one large block of wood, but a close look reveals cut marks along each of the supposed slices. Seo has yet to reveal exactly how she created this crafty illusion, but we can certainly speculate. Have they been sliced up and glued back together to appear more realistic? Maybe 4 long steel pins hold each impossible-looking leg in place. Maybe it really was sliced up by a seat-hating samurai whose village was slaughtered by a rogue Seat many years ago. But after taking his revenge on this lone chair, he felt guilty and tried to put it back together before wandering the land in eternal search of atonement for his crimes against chair kind. Man, you could make an entire anime series out of this. A lot of mind-boggling furniture relies on wood or steel to establish a strong illusion, but complex designs can also be achieved with a few well-placed sheets of plexiglass, as designer David Conti proved with his creatively confusing magic chairs. At a glance from the side, these chairs look like they're missing a couple of key legs, but they're standing on their own. It isn't until you view them head-on that you see sheets of transparent plexiglass are what's really keeping them up. Even though that explains it, I don't think I'd have the nerve to sit on a chair that looks like it relies on magic. It's not just David Conti's chairs that play around with transparent partitions, though. Without knowing any better, I thought that this chair, built and designed by Nissa Kinzalina, was just an impossibly balanced black metal frame. Turning it round twists the slick metal edges until they overlap, making it look more like an art installation than a seat. However, the layers of cleverly clear acrylic that make up this chair are present, providing the perfect structure for the black framework to mess with onlookers' minds. Now, here's a question. What happens when you combine a Russian nesting doll and a chair into one piece of furniture? The answer, I think, is the Inception chair created by Vivian Chu. From every single angle, this incredible piece of artistry looks like the frame of a chair being repeated into infinity, like it's been trapped in between 2 mirrors. However, Chu didn't break the rules of reality to bring this incredible contraption to life. She designed 10 separate frames with little grooves, each of which allows a slightly smaller frame to slot inside it. The result is 10 different sized frames that all come apart, but that can be put back together to form one fully functional seat. Are anyone else's eyes straining as much as their mind just looking at this thing? Vivian Chu's chairs aren't the only inconceivable seats on the market. I mean, just take a look at this chair. "That's just a picture of a chair, you idiot," is what I can hear the overeager keyboard warriors among you typing down in the comments. Well, yes and no, because even though this is a picture of a chair on a canvas, it also doubles up as an actual chair. This creative collection was made by printing images of a chair, an armchair, and a sofa onto an elasticated canvas. When stretched over a frame and propped at the right angle, they can support someone who needs to sit down. These multifunctional frames were designed by YOY Studio in Tokyo, Japan. And even though they're just a frame, some fabric, and paint-printed pictures, their insanely innovative design means that their prices start around $1,600 each. And talk about stretching the budget. Those canvas chairs aren't the only seats with legs that don't touch the ground, though. Another Japanese company called Nendo made it their mission to design a chair that looked like it was levitating, something they definitely achieved with the fade-out chair. It looks like the wood of the legs magically morphs into some sort of transparent glass halfway down, But in reality, all 4 of the legs are made of clear acrylic and have been painstakingly painted to match the wooden texture of the rest of the seat. The final effect makes it look like the chair is floating, which is oddly unnerving when a bunch of them are put together. And while the sky certainly seems to be the limit for some of these illusions, there's even more mind-blowing ones that exist on the floor. More specifically, 3D flooring designs. In the world of fancy floors, nothing quite tops a bedroom that looks like it's perched on a beach, or a bathroom set in an English garden, though it probably wouldn't smell like one. Others can even add an element of danger, like this hilariously unnerving bridge to the bathroom, or a hallway that leads down to the depths of hell. But how can they look so realistic? Well, the secret lies in a specialist resin. Once the image has been printed and laid down, these designs are covered in a transparent, 2-component epoxy polymer, which gives the image depth. The result is a floor that looks realistically deep from the right angle, like the fishy floor of this bathroom. And the technique isn't just limited to floors. If you use your imagination, you can create a 3D mural anywhere, from the base of your stairs to a whole new world on your walls. Well, that's guaranteed to make bath time a bit more tropical. Now, despite what it looks like, this next piece of furniture from DK & Way isn't an optical illusion. Called the Cloud Sofa, this comfy-looking couch concept is designed to float several feet off the floor. But how does it literally levitate? Are there hidden wires? Maybe some invisible supports? Nope, this thing relies on the power of magnets. The base and sofa conceptually contain super strong repelling magnets, allowing the structure to float in the air. Although there's no specifications detailing how the design locks the sofa in place.
That's suspicious. That's weird.
If you've ever pushed 2 opposing magnets together, you know they slide off each other thanks to the spherical shape of their magnetic fields. So how does this couch ensure that anyone who gets on doesn't slide straight off? Well, it might rely on magnetic levitation technology. Instead of using one big magnet, a series of super strong electromagnets would need to be encased inside the base section. As the magnet in the couch is repelled and begins to slide off, sensors in the base would react to the movement by increasing power in different magnets, balancing the couch out and keeping it from crashing. But even then, electromagnets strong enough to repel an entire couch wouldn't be small, so they wouldn't fit inside such a sleek base component. No wonder this couch is just a concept. On the more possible end of the magnetic furniture spectrum, though, there's a lamp design that looks like its bulb is levitating. But unlike the Cloud Sofa, these gravitas lamps are completely real. Not only that, but the disconnected bulb also lights up as if by magic. So how exactly does this wireless system work? Well, the lamps use induction, which is where an electromagnet with a current flowing through it can generate a current in another body placed nearby. This process is then combined with magnetism. So while gravity pulls the light bulb towards the ground, a magnet with a coil in the cap keeps the light bulb levitating, while the coil itself receives the induced electricity and powers the light. That's pretty ingenious. And if that wasn't enough, its wireless induction ability also makes it the perfect place to wirelessly charge compatible cell phones as well. I hope the creators of that concept Cloud Sofa are taking some notes right now. While levitating lamps are cool, they're not exactly the kind of large floating furniture that the Cloud Sofa got us excited for. For that, we need to look to the Netherlands, where a real floating bed has been developed by inventor Jan-Jaap Roeijsnaars. Using the power of permanent, opposing industrial-strength magnets, the floating bed, or more accurately, uncomfortable-looking rectangular platform, floats 16 inches above the ground, while tethered to the floor by 4 cables. As much as they look like a huge trip hazard, they're the only thing that stops this bed from sliding off the magnetic force field and crashing into the floor. And like that didn't sound dangerous enough, back in 2009, the price tag for this hovering bed started at a wallet-draining 1.2 million euros. That's roughly $1.67 million today. But you definitely get your money's worth because all that magnetic power can apparently hold up a whopping 2,000 pounds of weight. You know what that means? For all its strength, it still won't be strong enough to support your mom, just like your dad. Now, this next piece of furniture may look like it's floating, but there's not a magnet in sight. The aptly named Illusion side table from design company Essie appears to be a tablecloth without the all-essential table underneath. Made from a 3mm thick acrylic sheet, the plastic-like material has been intricately shaped to mimic the flowing folds of falling fabric. The four corners reach down to the floor, acting as a set of feet, with a robust material making the entire structure surprisingly sturdy. Weighing in at just 6.5 pounds, this is one seriously lightweight illusion. But costing around $200, it'll make your wallet a little lighter as well. If you're looking for a floating coffee table with a bit more heft to it though, then the Poised table, designed by Paul Coxedge, might weigh in your favor. Comprised of a staggering half a ton's worth of pure steel, the simplistic 20mm thick metal plate is bent fluidly, as if it were a page in a book. But this creative curve doesn't detract from the fact that it can support the weight of a fully grown man on its farthest end without tumbling over. It relies on a series of super precise calculations regarding mass, gravity, and equilibrium, and if it were just a millimeter off, the entire thing would topple. However, Paul hasn't revealed this amazing math to the public to stop people from ripping off his design. And that's hardly surprising, considering it took him over half a year to correctly calculate. From the photos, though, I'd say the bottom section must weigh considerably more than the top. Well, however it looks, you just can't knock that final result, literally. However, the title for Best Floating Table Design can only go to those that rely on the gravity-defying principle of tensegrity. No, you don't need to adjust your screen. The tops of these tables really are being held up by nothing more than a set of self-contained strings. But how is this even possible? Well, tensegrity is a structural principle based on tension and compression. So here, the tension of the central string is supporting the top section of the model, while the strings at the four corners are compressing it down. It's this delicate balance of tensile forces that creates a continuous pressure that stabilizes the entire structure. And it doesn't just work for miniature models. The principle supports full-size tables made out of wood and high-strength wire, with more polished versions looking less like furniture and more like physics-defying art.
Babe! You need to come see some of this furniture. I might be able to make you some if you like it. I mean, it's really cool.
Can only go to those.
Hang on, y'all. Hang on. Uno momento.
That rely on the gravity-defying.
Are you coming?